What's up guys, Scorpop here. Today I'm going to be explaining how to solo farm all the new pets that drop from the raiding with Leashes achievement. If you don't know, some of the old bosses now have added pets to their loot tables in the Mists of Pandaria pre-patch. I originally didn't think to make a video covering this since I mostly considered a lot of this content to be extremely trivial to solo, but due to a few changes to select bosses and a lot of confused comments on my other videos, I am here to help dispel the troubles, help with any new mechanics that MoP may have changed for soloing these bosses, mostly as a hunter. First off, a couple of hunter-specific things. These were my chosen talents and glyphs for this. There was one boss that had a glyph change, but I will explain that when we get there. Spirit Bond is huge for soloing, as well as all three of these major glyphs. One last thing is this command that you can macro into all your attacks if you want to be brainless. I currently use a turtle for soloing, but you can swap that out for a specific family of pet if you choose to use something different. If you have a turtle out, it will always use Misdirection on it, so if you have a cat or wolf or some other pet for raiding or dungeons, it will not cast Misdirect on them in those scenarios. You can also shorten it to @whatever your pet's name is. However, the other players who know about the macro control and mess with you by naming their companions the same name as your pet, which can screw with the macro. So, first up here is Molten Core. You shouldn't die in Molten Core. Molten Core is extremely trivial. If you're dying in Molten Core, you've got a lot of other issues to work out first. First boss that drops a pet is Magmadar, who drops the Corefire Imp. He should be extremely easy to kill. I'll try to speed up the gameplay here so you can kind of see the general path I take throughout each of these instances. Gar and Baron Geddon both drop mats for Thunder Fury if you care about those, but if you don't, you can just skip them. Some of the bosses I will also kill for gold if I feel they might be worth it. Other than that, just keep watching. Second boss you're going to kill here for the pet is Golemagg the Incinerator, who drops the Ashstone core pet. He's extremely easy as well, just kill him. Last but not least is the Harbringer of Flame pet, which drops from the Sulfuron Harbringer. Next up is Blackwing Lair, and I'm happy to say they actually made some changes in this dungeon. The big problem boss is the very first one, Razorgore. You've probably looked into and seen the older strategy from Cataclysm, which involved bugging out the encounter, but I'm happy to say you don't even need to do that anymore. Make sure you dismiss your pet to be able to use the orb, then start destroying all the eggs. The change they did is that previously the Destroy Egg ability had a 7-second cooldown, but now it has no cooldown. With this change, even if the adds spawn, you'll have enough time to destroy all the eggs. Once the orb cast time runs out for the first time, try and AoE all the adds around you and then drop an explosive trap at your feet, then use the orb again. Continue destroying eggs and they should all get destroyed before Razorgore or you get overrun. When that happens, they'll all go away and you'll simply be able to kill the boss. The next pet is going to be from Broodlord Lashlayer, which is a very easy boss. If you manage to do the suppression room skip, which I hopefully just showed a little bit ago, you'll still have the buff from Veil, which makes everything free focus basically. You just never run out of focus. So burn him down and kill him. GG. If you want to farm the trash in the next room, you certainly can for some aluminium ingots. They are required for crafting Thunder Fury. However, here I opt to just skip them. I do actually kill all 3 drakes though, because each one drops about 150 to 200 gold, so honestly they are pretty good gold farms if you want to just kill these bosses for gold. Chromaggus drops the final pet in Blackwing Lair. So depending on your spec, you're kind of hoping for 2 different weaknesses of his. If he gets nature weakness, that's very good for marksmanship, and if he gets fire weakness, that's really good for survival hunter. But you don't want to respec or anything. Honestly, the weakness just helps you kill him faster. He'll still die regardless, especially if you're in like full Bis Dragon Soul gear, but at level 90, this boss should be extremely trivial to solo. AQ40 is an instance that can be kind of tricky if you don't know what you're doing, but honestly, it's nothing too hard if you do. I'm also happy to say that there are some big changes in this raid that make it much easier to solo as well, when being compared to Cataclysm. First boss here is going to be the Prophet Skeram. He is not that hard. So a lot of the Cataclysm strategies involved kiting the boss and using your pet. Mostly that was because of not being able to attack in melee range. Now, the best strategy is honestly to just dismiss your pet. If you have a pet at all, he's just going to mind control you. Dismiss your pet, cast out a fat aimed shot, and then just burn him down as fast as you can. There's no need to kite him because minimum range is removed from hunters, so you can attack in melee range. He will split a few times, and I know that there are some weak auras and stuff that can actually keep track of which one's the right one, but even if you don't have any of that, I didn't have anything, you can kind of just kill the other ones or tab target and keep track of the right one, which is... The right one has like a little more than 500,000 health, so just keep that in mind and try and focus down that one. Hopefully he should die pretty fast and you'll be good to proceed. One other thing that I forgot to mention here is that the Prophet Skeram has a tendency to completely and utterly mess up your character. What I mean by that is your racials will just be gone, your talents will be gone, a lot of your abilities that are like passive effects will most likely be gone, and the only way to fix this is to relog or just quickly go to your off-spec and then go back. So most likely you're going to have to do that because it happens to me almost every single kill. With that in mind, let's keep going. Viscidus is probably the boss you'll see the most drastic change to in all of soloing history. So first of all, everything about this boss has changed. It's so much easier that it is almost unbelievable how much easier this is to solo. In Cataclysm, this involved doing a certain number of hits on the boss in a certain amount of time. That was just way too much that any singular player could do. But now, it's almost trivial how easy this is. All you need is one item to do frost damage to the boss, and this is going to be the Brunhildar bow, which I mentioned previously in the Cataclysm guide, but all you have to do is buy this from a vendor in the Storm Peaks or have someone trade it to you because it's a BOE item. You'll be good to go. First I start out with my normal weapon, so I just DPS the boss down, and then when the boss is about to die, switch into this Brunhildar bow. And all that's going to do is allow you to freeze the boss and shatter the boss, which will kill it. Do that, and it's GG. Also keep in mind here that you've got to kill the Anubisath defenders that are right before the Twin Emperor's room. Otherwise they will pull with the boss, and if you think you're good enough to handle that, maybe you can, but I opt to kill them here. Twin Emperors can be a bit tricky if you don't know what you're doing. I opt to use a move to command and move my pet into the corner over here, although this probably isn't really needed anymore. Or you could just do it next to the corner where Vek'lor is at, since you'll be hitting him first. So Vek'lor is immune to magic damage, but vek'lor is immune to physical damage. As a marksman hunter, Chimera and Serpent Sting will be used on vek'lor, and Steady and Aimed Shot is going to be used on Vek'lor. You can also put Widow Venom up on Vek'lor if you can. Personally, on a few of my kills, I didn't end up even needing this since pre-patch. This fight has basically been completely trivialized. Before the patch, this fight legitimately took 11 minutes to solo, but now you can do it in almost a minute or two. It's very fast. You'll want to have Vek'lor as the main target and have your pet attacking that one as well. I've also put 2 macros in the description that you can copy and paste into your game that will automatically use Chimera and Serpent Sting on vek'lor, so you don't need to even worry about that. You can just use your full rotation on this boss as a marksman hunter, and you'll be completely fine. The only difference is maybe you'll be dumping your focus with aimed shot, but as long as you adjust to that, you'll be completely fine. And Nexramas is the next instance. I opt for the Plague Wing here next. So Lotheb is the boss that drops the pet, which is all the way as the final boss. So we're going to have to kill the first 2 bosses to get to him. A lot of these trash backs in this raid doesn't really have that many mechanics. You can kind of just AoE the stuff down. These gargoyles, though, you gotta single target them down, because if you don't kill them in time, they end up healing. Noth himself isn't really a problem. He's a huge tank and spank. A lot of these fights are actually really tank and spankable. Like, they don't really do anything, to be honest. When Noth summons ads, you can actually feign death and the ads will despawn, so there's no need to even swap off him. Just burn him down and kill him. Feign death with the ad spawn, and you're good to go. Heigan the Unclean is next, and I didn't even get to the safety dance with him. I kind of just did the slow safety dance at the bottom because there was no real need to even stand still, because there's no downside to standing still as a hunter now in Mists of Pandaria. But other than just knowing if you do the safety dance, if you can't quite kill him in time, that's probably still fine. Just burn him down. He's literally a tank and spank. The next room is a bit annoying as well here, but as soon as you get past it, you can probably just move. What I would do is, I didn't do it in the video, but just use your rocket boots or speed boost or whatever you got and dismiss your pet and feign death and just proceed to Lotheb's room. Lotheb himself is really not a big deal at all as well. He's going to summon a spore that increases your crit chance and lowers your threat, so you definitely want to stand near the spore, kill it. It'll increase your DPS. And you can only heal your pet in intervals, but he really doesn't do that much damage, so as long as during the interval you use your mend pet accordingly, like it's already ticking before the healing debuff goes away, you'll be completely fine. Just keep that up, burn him down, and you'll be good to go. Spider Wings next, and same thing with the previous Plague Wing. A lot of these spider packs you can just AoE down, they don't really do anything. We've got the boss Anub'Rekhan here. He is a joke. He does practically nothing. Sometimes he'll knock you up in the air, but you can easily out heal it with Spirit Bond. He'll summon ads, kill the ads, just burn him down and kill. Like, he's the easiest boss in here practically. Going up to Grand Widow Faralina, I do end up killing the trash packs in front of her just for safety, but she is basically the same exact thing. Tank and spank. If you don't have enough DPS, she'll have an enrage and end up doing a ton of damage to your pet. When this happens, you can actually kill one of the ads, and then it'll dispel her enrage. That's why I end up leaving these ads up, even though I technically didn't really need to, because my damage is just good enough to where it's going to kill her in time. Going up to the spider boss, Meixna, I would try to just camouflage through. I wouldn't even kill these trash packs, but if some end up getting pulled, it's not really the end of the world. Just AoE it down, it's really not a big deal. And now here we are at the spider boss, Meixna. This is the boss that's going to require a glyph swap. I actually ended up getting rid of Glyph of Animal Bond and swapping it for Glyph of Mend Pet. Make sure you read that right. Mend Pet, not Glyph of Mending, Mend Pet. You want to have both Mending and Mend Pet, because what she's going to do is she's going to put a debuff on your pet that reduces the amount of healing it takes. So you want that dispelled off as soon as possible. That's why you take the Glyph of Mend Pet. I have to stand near the side of the room here, and when she throws me against the wall and puts me in a cocoon, I can actually tell my pet to break me out. That's all there is to this boss, basically. Just rather rinse, repeat. I did opt for a safer strategy in the Cataclysm video. So you can actually avoid getting hit against the wall if you just feign death when she does that ability, but you need to know exactly when she's going to do it, and there isn't really a cue for when, except she does it at specific intervals throughout the fight. So if you want to just no-brain it, this is the best way to do it. So you'll want to camo pass most of this trash, but the trash that's actually in Patchwork's room, you want to clear, because if you pull Patchwork, all the trash pulls with him, and there's a couple of mobs that actually pull with Patchwork in the previous rooms as well. You'll see here, when I actually pulled Patchwork, they pulled, and I still managed to kill the boss, so that just goes to show that it's not really the end of the world. Patchwork himself actually does a crap ton of damage. He just does insane damage to your pet, and your pet is going to die. There's basically nothing you can do about that, really. But the good thing about it is with Miss Pandaria, the cast time on the Revive Pet I found is extremely low. It's like a 1.8 second cast, so if your pet dies, just make sure you're at max range. As soon as it dies, cast Revive Pet again, get it back in there, use Feign Death, Misdirection, and you're going to be good to go to keep pumping on Patchwork. You basically want to keep doing this over and over again. That's basically what I do. I didn't really think about that at first. I was starting to not revive pet, I was starting to dismiss pet, and then just like run away and then re-summon it, because I thought the cast time on revive pet was really high still, but I figured out it was really low and I could just keep doing that. After Patchwork, you'll want to kill the trash in Globulus's room, because they pull with Globulus, although it probably wouldn't even be the end of the world if they pulled. Globulus is really not a threat at all. Again, he's more or less a tank and spank. He does drop the goop on the ground right at your feet, but I mean, you can just move out of that, and it doesn't really do a whole lot. So just tank and spank him down. Last and certainly not least is the reason you're all here. Gluth, he drops the Stitched Pup. He is essentially coming down to another tank and spank. However, you don't want him to be alive for so long. Reason for that is he puts a stacking debuff on your pet that will make it take more and more and more damage over time. So you want to kill him very quickly. If you're under geared as in like a pre-patch 85 or something, obviously you can actually mitigate this by dismissing pet and summoning a brand new turtle that has no stacks whatsoever. Although that's really only going to be needed if you're like super under geared. If you've got good gear, you're going to be able to kill him no problem. And especially if you're level 90 already, like this is going to be no big deal for you. Alright, and here we have our first TBC raid. Karazhan, which is just about as hard as Molten Core, if not even easier, to be honest. If you just want to get this out of the way and do it as fast as possible, I always try to just camouflage past all the trash. However, sometimes I do pull some small things here and there. It's not the end of the world, just kill it. Everything here has very low health. I can't believe I'm really needing to make this guide, to be honest. You could probably stroll in here and not know anything and easily kill most, if not all, these bosses, minus maybe like Chesavan or something, but everything else is easily killable. Regardless, I will just show you guys the guide here on the path I take and what you need to do to, you know, just get this raid done. Yes, by the way, you do need to kill Moros to even attempt Opera Event. I'll be skipping as many bosses as I can and just only doing basically what's required in order to get the pets. So Opera event itself has 3 different fights that it can be. There's the Romulo and Julianne fight, the Wizard of Oz, and the Big Bad Wolf. The one you're hoping for is the Big Bad Wolf. That's the one that drops the pet. So it's not even a guarantee that you're going to even get the fight that drops the pet. So this is basically RNG on top of RNG. But if you get lucky, you're going to get that Big Bad Wolf. Just like I did here, but unfortunately I didn't even get the pet drop. So, well, you win some, you lose some. After that, same thing. Just do your best. Skip as much trash as you possibly can. Next pet drop is going to be coming from the Curator. The Curator has a bunch of ads with him. I believe they do pull with him, but it doesn't matter. You just AoE everything down at this point. Terestian Illhoof is the next fight that drops a pet. This instance, by the way, actually has 4 pets, while every other instance has 3, so just something a little cool about Karazhan. You know, it went a little extra effort to give you 1 more pet. But at the same time, again, very easy. You just kill him. Like, there's no trouble at all here. He is kind of hidden, though. He's kind of hidden behind this, like, secret bookcase. You gotta click on it. It's kind of cool. RP moment, but after this, you're gonna be walking for a while, but you're gonna come up to the chess event. Now, you do have to kill... Now, you do actually have to defeat the chess event in order to get to the final boss, Prince Malchezaar, which drops the final pet. So, I'm going to be showing you guys how to solo chess event. Alright, so depending on whether you're Alliance or Horde, depends on which side you go on. King Lane will be your king for the Alliance, and Warchief Blackhand will be the Warchief for the Horde. You want to talk to the King or Warchief to activate the fight. Once you're in, you're going to find that it might be kind of similar to chess. If you've never played chess before, that might be a bit of a daunting task, but there's only a couple pieces you need to really know. And that's probably going to be your king, the pawns. You're just going to move the pawns out of the way, which is the front pieces. So the king and other pieces around the king can have a chance to move around a little better. Your queen, which is on the Horde, it's going to be the Orc Warlock. On the Alliance, it'll be the Human Conjurer. This piece has a lot of mobility and can deal a lot of damage fast. And probably the Clerics or the Necrolytes on the Horde side. Clerics for Alliance. These are your healers, and they do a little bit of damage as well. So there's going to be a lot of RNG involved in winning. If you don't win the first time, don't get upset. You kind of have to rely on the other king kind of being an idiot. But you also want to have a bit of strategy going in. Whenever he cheats, you're instantly going to move away from the fire. The first cheat that Medivh does is always fire underneath your king and a couple of other pieces. You just want to move the king out. The other pieces are just kind of going to be on their own. Now, I find it more likely I win if I try to deal damage to their strongest pieces right off the bat. That's why I always take my Warlock out first and start dealing damage to the other Warlock. But if the king moves up, then I instantly swap to the king. Because if the king becomes active and it's out of the way, you want their king to be in danger first. So definitely, if they move their king up, start attacking the king. If you have to deal with your king, just know that your king can cleave 2 spots away, so like 2 spaces away. So your king does have a bit of range, but of course it'll deal more damage if the enemy is in melee range. The healers will, of course, heal. If your king gets low, but you want to kind of move it back towards the healers and then maybe swap to healer in order to heal, but they do automatically heal as well. So they will put those auto heals on you if you're getting yourself into a bit of a bind. All you've got to do is kill their king, and that's all there is to it, really. The other pieces kind of do stuff, and he'll definitely have more movement opportunities than you because, you know, you don't have a 10-man raid. The biggest thing also is that if you're going to swap pieces, you really want to make sure you can commit to this piece, because swapping pieces takes like close to, if not up to 8 seconds. So make sure you know the cheat's coming and you're already at the king if you're not already controlling the king. If things get hairy, remember you can move away. You've got heals if they're not already dead. And again, this relies on a bit of RNG as well. Just keep at it, and I'm sure you've got it. As soon as you can get Chess Event down, proceed to the next room, go up the tower, and kill Prince Malchezaar. He's got no mechanics, he's just a tank and spank, so Chess Event's definitely the hardest fight in here, but once you get that consistently down, this place is a cakewalk. GG. Next up here is Tempest Keep, and all these bosses could easily be soloed last expansion as well. Speaking of which, that is a lot of the case for a lot of the previous bosses. But anyways, every single boss in here except Kael'thas drops a pet, which is actually kind of cool because, you know, Kael'thas drops them out. It's fitting that every single other boss would drop a pet. First boss here, Alar. He is very... I'm going to say this a lot, but yeah, a lot of these bosses are really easy. He's basically a tank and spank, except, ooh, you gotta kill him twice. First time he dies, he goes to set locate... Okay, well, first off is phase 1. He goes to set locations around the room. He always goes to this spot here, and then he moves over, but if you kill him fast, he'll never move. Once you kill him, he will respawn in the middle of the room and do a knockback. So, you know, probably don't be next to him. My pet was next to him, so I believe he got knocked back. And after a certain amount of time, he goes up in the air and he comes down. And it's supposed to be like this thing that does a lot of damage, but it doesn't do anything because you're like level 85. And other than that, he dies really fast. Just like Karazhan, I do try to camo past all the trash here. However, keep in mind here that for the next two bosses, Void Reaver and High Astromancer Solarian, if you pull the boss, every single piece of trash that is in that room will pull along with them. I don't care though, I just go for it. I do kill like 1 or 2 packs, but I ended up just pulling the boss. This just goes to show how easy the boss is. You just go and basically... Void Reaver is the biggest tank and spank solo ever. He does silence you, but that doesn't really matter for a hunter. As long as your pet holds threat, like, you just go. And he drops the Pocket Reaver pet. Last but not least here with these pets in Tempest Keep is going to be High Astromancer Solarian. Again, very, very, very easy boss. I decided to just say fuck it and pull the whole room. They do, so these mobs do have a mind control. They did use it on me a couple of times, but the mind control doesn't last very long. Like, it only lasts like 5 seconds or something. So as soon as I get out of it, I just continue AoEing them down. I really am just not in any kind of danger whatsoever. I can't, like, even if I killed my pet here, which is never going to happen, by the way, all that would do is just reset the boss, but... Regardless of that, you can easily AoE this shit down. If you're under-geared, I guess just kill the trash first, but... The boss has an ability that throws you up in the air. However, if you hit the ground, you don't actually take any fall damage, so this ability is just not dangerous at all. Alright, and here we are at Serpent Shrine Cavern. Once you've taken the elevator down, you can use camouflage up to the first boss. Now, like most of the other fights in here, Hydros the Unstable is straightforward and easy. So the thing with this boss is he does more and more damage over time the longer he stays in one form. He starts out in water form, and then he goes into poison form once he's crossed the kind of like invisible line between the 2 purple flags you see on the left and right side of him. Once that happens, his stacks will reset and he will do less damage. So... if you take a while to kill him, you might want to cross that invisible line in order to get his stacks lower. Honestly, you probably won't even need that. This boss is very easy to just kill in one shot. without having to swap. There's actually a fishing boss and a couple more bosses if you take the left side here, but if you want the pets, the optimal path is to just skip right to the Morgrim Tidewalker over here. This guy is really not too much trouble either. He's going to put you in a watery grave every couple of seconds, and he'll also summon some Murloc ads. You can actually feign death, and these Murloc ads will despawn. But he actually starts off with some Murlocs in the room already, and they actually got pulled when I came in here, so even with that, this boss was still really easy. You can kind of just AoE everything down if you manage to pull some trash, or if you're under-geared, try to pull the trash by itself, and then go for the boss. But just burn him down. I mean, there's really not much trouble. Luckily, you don't need to full clear in order to access the final boss, Lady Vash, which is just up here. Now, she is actually fairly challenging, which is something I can't really say about any of the other bosses, really. You probably saw at the beginning of the video that I picked up Glyph of Fetch in the Glyphs section. Well, that is for this boss and this boss alone. So if you know anything about this boss, you'll know that if you grab a Tainted Core, you're gonna be stuck still and you won't be able to move at all. How you deal with this now is by utilizing the Fetch ability that you'll learn from the Glyph. Fetch will command your pet to go and loot the mob, and once your pet reaches the mob, it'll have a little Fetch cast bar, and when that ends, you'll do the looting animation and you'll actually loot the mob, even if you're very far away from it. So what I do is I stand around waiting here, and you don't want these elementals reaching Lady Vash. If too many reach her, she'll become really, really, really big, and she'll just be completely unbeatable. And if you do manage to get her into the next phase, she'll basically just one-shot your pet. But don't be scared if you have to go away for a while. You can still go up to like 30, 40 stacks and you'll be completely okay. But do be careful about it. Basically what you're doing is you're looking for the call out of when the Tainted Core spawns, and as soon as that Tainted Core spawns, you're going to look around as fast as you can, and you'll see the little green bolt coming out of where it's casting. Run over there, and you need to kill that thing as fast as possible, because the Tainted Cores, they despawn within like 10 or 15 seconds. It's actually crazy how fast they despawn. Once it dies, it'll be available to loot. Now you want to have this mob targeted, and you want to make sure you're in range, because you can't use Fetch unless you're within like, I think like 40 or 50 yards. Use Fetch, and then as soon as you use Fetch, you're going to run over to one of the pillars. Your pet will run over to the mob, start looting it, and you want to take a close look at your pet's cast bar, because as soon as you see that Fetch bar that the pet has, you're going to stop, because if you're moving, you can't loot anything. So as soon as you see the cast bar come up, you're going to stop, and you're going to loot it, and then you're going to use it on the pillar. And that's really all there is to it. The best strat with this is to move, if you're, let's say a Tainted Core is like on the complete other side of the pillar that you need to click on. You're actually going to move your pet away from the mob you need to loot. You're going to run up to the mob, cast Fetch, and then since your pet has a greater distance it needs to move in order to get to the mob, you're going to have plenty of time to get to that pillar and just stand still. And all of this, you also still need to keep in mind to keep those elementals off Lady Vash as much as possible. This is one of the longest videos I've made. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know a lot of these were fairly trivial, but there's a couple of them I know. Twin Emperors, the Prophet Skeram, Lady Vash are all ones that are kind of difficult to solo and not many people know that you can even do. So I'm really hoping that this video helped out a couple of people. and I really appreciate all the support. Thanks everyone for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.